So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to build with Anthropic. So we're going to be looking at the Anthropic API. So these are some of the topics we're going to be covering. So how to get started, the message API. So we're going to look at how to compose a message and how the API works for both single retrievals and batch and also stream. So we're going to look at the various models that you get when you're working with Anthropic and then the various use cases as well. We're going to be looking at the parameters that you're going to be providing to the message API, what of those parameters, and then we're going to look at how you work with vision tags using the Anthropic API. And then finally, I'm going to build a research paper summarizer. So we're going to supply a PDF and it's going to give us back a summary of the research paper. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do, of course, is to get started. So let's get started. So in order to get started, you want to get your API key. So, and also one of the things I want to tell you is that it's not free. If you've used Claude, you will discover that it's very, very good in some tags. One of the things also is that it has a very large content length. For example, I was building this a research paper summarizer. So if I show you here, for example, you're going to discover here that when I was using the Lalama 3.2 model for it, I had to break the PDF into section. But with the Anthropic API, I submitted the whole PDF. That means it has a large context window for input, which is actually very important. So for that, if you want to upgrade from that using your local LLM solutions such as this LM Studio or Llama, then you want to look into Anthropic. So let's first of all, let me show you how you're going to get your API key. So you're going to go to the console. So this is how the console looks like. So here you want to come, so at console.anthropic.com. And then within the dashboard here, you're going to come here to get API keys. So you see, I already have an API key created here. So you want to like click on create key, provide your workspace name, and then you name your key, and then that will be it. So it's going to give you a key. So I've already generated my key and saved it in my system. So I'm going to be using that key. So the next thing you want to do is create your Python environment. So and install the SDK. So to create your Python environment, so I'm going to be showing you everything from scratch. So let's go ahead to create our Python environment. I went ahead and created this folder and I made everything to be empty. So this is where we're going to be working from. So here, um, so what I want to do is create my Python environment. So in order to create your Python environment, assuming you already have Python installed, you can create it using the VMV module. So this is how you do it. So this will create a Python environment for you on your PC. And then you want to install the SDK. So here you see, so this is going to give you some scripts here, an environment folder and the script. So because I am on the PowerShell, so if you look at here, you see PWSH. So this is the PowerShell script. So it depends. You use the activate script that matches the shell you're using. So I'm using this because I'm on PowerShell. So I'll just copy the path. And when I paste it here, it's going to activate the environment. So you see the environment is activated. So now I want to go ahead now to install these dependencies that we have. So we're going to install Anthropic and the Python uh, python.env. So let's go ahead and install it. So we're just going to be installing Anthropic and python-env. So let's install that. So I'm just going to do pip install, and then we're going to do Anthropic. As you see, so this is the tool we have to install. So when we get this installed, the next thing we want to also do is so if we go next here, you see we need to also set up an environment. So so we want to set up like for .env to work, we need to set up a file here called .env where we have to put our keys. So this is what you want to do. So you see here, this is my key. So this is my key. So I'm going to be changing it after this. So don't bother to copy it. So this is the key. So this is how you create your key and then you put your key in the file. So the next thing we want to do is that, so let's go look at our slide. So the next thing is that we want to set up our environment. So let's do that. So let's create our app. So we call this app.py, and then we start communicating with the, so we need to first of all, from .env, from .env, we need to import load env. So this is going to load. This will help us to load all our environment variables. So I'm going to go ahead to say load env like this. So now all the this API key will be loaded to our script automatically. So now we want to kind of like call it using. So I'm going to do something like this. So I'm going to say my API key using the OS. So we need to also import OS as well. So we import OS. So now we have our API key. So if I decide to say print the API key, so you see, we're going to see our API key here. Look at our API key. So now what we need to do is, so we've done the basic setup. So we need to start now to communicate with the API. So let's go back to our slide. So the next thing we need to do, so we are done with getting started. Let's go to the next step. So we need to look at the message API. So before we look at the message API and test out the model, so let's see from the documentation how to work with messages. So if you click here, I'm going to be sharing the slides as well. So you're going to see here that there is a way to send a structured list of input messages with text or image content, and the model will generate the next message in the conversation. So you see, so this is how you talk to uh, the Anthropic API. So you do, so it has this uh, dot message dot create. So you create a message, you provide the model, you provide the maximum tokens, and then the message, of course. So we're going to be talking about these parameters shortly. So this is what you want to do. So it also has support for both Quell, Python, and JavaScript. So we're going to be looking at this. So I'm just going to take this. So this is what we want to copy. So I'm going to copy this and then bring it directly into our script. So let's see what is going to happen. So with this, you see, so we have a model name. So this is the maximum number of tokens that this model will return. So I will explain what the token is when we get to parameters. So now all we need to do is, this is going to return something to us. So what I want us to do is just to uh, get this one as a response and then print it out. So we just need to say response equals to this. And then at the end of the day, we just need to say print that response. So let's and see what we're going to get. So if you notice here, we've got some output. So we've got some output. So we got the dot text. So we got some content here like text, which says, so let me kind of take everything out here. So let me see whether I can. So I don't know if it copied. So you're going to see what we got. So you see here that we got something like this. So we got a message ID. We got some content inside of a text block. And you see what is inside. Hi there, how are you? So we said hello world and we got hi there, how are you? So we got a response and then we got input tokens as 10, output tokens as 13. So you see, so the input tokens was 10 and then the output tokens was 13. So this will be very cheap because the number of tokens exchanged is not really that big. So you see the message API already in action here. So you see how we were able to create the message. And from this message, we are able to get a suitable response. So let's go ahead to look at the streaming API. So here, there's also this one on beta here. So where you could actually, for example, check uh, the number of tokens. So if you want to like find out your number of input tokens, so if you have like tokens and you just want to return, this could be helpful to save cost before you send the message, knowing how much a token will cost. There's also, when we come to models, you also see how much it will cost you to kind of like send tokens using a particular kind of model. So this will be beneficial for you to know exactly what to expect as cost for your tokens that you're going to be sending to the API at least. So you see here, so, and then for streaming messages, so let's look at how streaming messages work. So I think this is a very simple example. So here you have a context client.message.stream, and then uh, so and then it's going to return a stream of messages. So let's test this one out. So we're just going to take this one here. And let's put it here also. So we're just gonna comment out this, and you see the same thing. We are importing Anthropic, and then we are instantiating the client, and then using the client.message.stream, also providing the maximum amount of token our model as stream. So we are using the context builder here, and then under the context builder, we are saying for text in text stream. So this is just going to give us like the message, the stream of the message. So here we won't really see much from here, but let's say, for example, we say uh, how many planets are there in the solar system. So let's get something more concrete like this. And then when we execute this, you see here that look at how the message is streaming. So you see, we got that result pretty quick. So if I execute it again, look at how our message, so this one is streaming. So for you to stream, you just need to use the client.message.stream, and that will be it. And then you have a streaming message. So let's go back to our slide. So this is how the message API works. So you have your model, the name of the model, the maximum number of tokens, the message itself. So nothing too complicated here. So when you talk about the models that you have, um, so cloud, cloud, uh, cloud 3.5, cloud 3 Optus, and cloud 3 Haiku are the kind of models they have. And here you could see from this graph, you see the intelligent, how intelligent the models are. So you see that the cloud 3.5 Sonnet is like the most intelligent model. And then when it comes to cost, you see the most expensive one here is the Cloud 3 Opus. So this is like the most expensive model. So if you look at this document here, so it tells you kind of like, I'm going to be sharing the link to this slide in the description. So it tells you like the family of model. You have the Opus, Sonnet, and Haiku, and what they do. And then if you go down, you will definitely see their performance also with regards to tax. So you could see how they perform in terms of maths, and then you could see which one perform better in maths. So you see in maths, you could actually see that this performs better overall in terms of maths. So you could see here Sonnet doesn't do so well in math. So depending on the tax you're using, and you could see how it compares to like GPT-4, GPT 3.5, you could see here that they have kind of like models that actually compare at even better than the GPT models and even the Gemini. So you see maths, you see human evaluation, pretty very great scores here. And then for different kinds of tax, so depending on what you're doing, this is what you want to check, and then test them out and see the one that actually meets. Uh, for me, generally, I normally start working locally first of all with my local LLMs here. So I start by like experimenting with this model, build my application, then before I switch over. And then you could use this in some cases. Then when you don't get your results, so that to minimize API cost. So if you look at, so this is what you actually going to be putting on your, so you could actually use it with AWS Bedrock, which is kind of like a platform that gives you these foundation models for you to build your application. I think Google also have Vertex. And but when you're using your models within your code, you could check this. So there's this page here in the documentation for models. And then you could see the names here. So you could just take the name here and put it on the model. You see here there is this 2024 1022, and then you see latest. So if you want to use the latest one, you just put dash latest. Then if you want to use like the previous released, so you could use the date in which it was released. So I think that's kind of like the notation they use uh, to kind of like deliver their models. So this is all about the models. So let's look at use cases. So there are so many use cases. And one of the most beautiful thing about their documentation is that they've actually provided you like uh, the descriptions of these use cases and together with code. For example, if you look at the legal summarization, you see that you also have the code here that actually shows you how to work with PDF file, which is kind of like similar to the application I'm going to be building at the end of the day. So you see, visit our summarization cookbook. So they've got a summarization cookbook, which is more or less like an IPython notebook that shows you an example application. So you see, so how to go about it, you know, and how to prepare your data and the various things you could do. So you could just adapt this code for your own solution. So you have other use cases as well. So you have customer support agent, you have content moderation, ticket routing. You could check them out. Then for text capabilities and use cases, you see text summarization, content generation, question answering, text translation, dialogue and code explanation and generation. So for me, I use it more for code explanation and generation. So which I think I made a video about how I build some applications even in a single evening. So let's look at the parameters now. So of course, when we talk about tokens, I think for cloud or for Anthropic, I think a token is more like a 3.5 words, I guess, if I'm not wrong. So the messages, of course, is the message you pass, but there's a special kind of message you can also put into uh, the parameters of your message. So all of those ones can come here. So you can put them directly here. So if you decide, for example, to check here, so you could see uh, all the parameters. So you could see here that if you decide to click on the stream, for example, so you see create, there's create here on top here. So you could see what you can provide. So you can provide max token, messages, model, metadata, stop sequence. So the stop sequence is basically if it sees that particular sequence, it's going to stop. So stream here, you can put stream to be true instead of using the stream API. You can also provide the stream to be true, and it will generate stream. So temperature here, if you put a temperature of like, if you how probabilistic your result is going to be. So if it's like 1, so you expect to like get like maybe different kinds of output result. But if you put like a smaller temperature, you're going to get something like the same result all the time. So something like that, I guess so. So, and then you see there are so many other things you could actually provide. So you could actually read more. But I think the most common ones are the ones I have here. So the model, the max tokens, the temperature, and then you could also set stream to be equals to true. So for vision tags, nothing much, nothing different. The only thing is that when you're providing your message, it needs to be in this format. So you need to provide a rule, the content as well. So for example, type image source. For example, if you're providing a base 64 image, the media type is a PNG image, and then this base 64 string. So I have this. So this is how you encode the image, and that's it. So if you want to kind of like send images for image related tags, you could do them using this script. So finally, we are going to be building a research paper summarizer uh, using uh, the Anthropic API and Streamlit. So let's get that done. So let's go back to our VS Code. So let's create our app. So our app is actually going to be a Streamlit app. So we're going to call it app. So let's call it a.py since we already have app. And then we're going to create our app now. So the first thing we're going to do is that I'm going to import some dependencies that we're going to be using to create this app. So the first thing is that we're going to import Streamlit. So we're going to be installing that. So we're going to do pip install. So let's do a pip install. So we're going to be installing Streamlit. And we also going to be installing PyPDF too. So the reason why we're installing this is that this is going to help us like convert the PDF to text. So whatever we're going to be uploading as PDF, this particular tool will help us convert it to text, our PDF to text. And then we're also going to be installing the PyPDF too. So I think we have all this installed. So the next thing we want to do is, of course, we need to load our environment variables here. And then in order to save our time, I already have like functions to extract text from our PDF. So let me kind of get the function in place. I'm going to explain what it's doing. So if you see here, so we have this PDF reader, so that we imported using the PyPDF tool. So we imported the PDF reader. So within the reader, we are passing in this PDF file. And then it's going to kind of like extract all the text from the PDF into this variable called text or raise an exception. So we're going to have text. So this is the text that we want to pass into our model. So let's see how we're going to do. So to generate the summary, I also have a function prepared, which I'm going to go through in a moment. So these are kind of like the helper functions that will help us with our string loop application. So let's see what this is doing. So you see here, we already have the client set up here. So this is going to use this key. So remember the key we stored here. So it's going to use the key, and then we have a prompt prepared. So provide a comprehensive summary of the following research paper. So include main research objectives, methodology, key findings, and important conclusion. Then we are now passing the text here. See, research paper text. So the text is what we're going to be passing into this function. So now we now say the message. We are using the message API. So with client.message.create. And then this is the model we are going to be using. So if we want to use the latest model, the only thing we need to do is change this one to latest. You see, but I'm going to use this other model. And then the max token, of course, this is going to show like how much token we want as result. So, and then this is also going to be like the message itself. So here we are passing in the prompt. So, and the prompt is what is going to come from this other, the text here. So this text is going to return that prompt for us. So if we have a message, so we want to kind of like, so we want to extract the content from the message response. So this is how, so because the response that this API is going to return is going to have like some /n for new lines. So we want to make it formatted to make it look good. So if the content is already a string and does not have all this text in it, so we're just going to convert it to a string, be sure that it's a string, and then return the text or pass in an exception. So this one is just basically going to be returning the summary of the text using the Anthropic model and the Anthropic API. So the next is that I'm going to also save you some time. I don't want this video to be too long, so I went ahead to do everything. So here, so basically what we are doing here is, so here we are defining the main function. So we are setting this streamlit title to be research paper PDF summarizer. So research paper summarizer. So, and then we are uploading the research paper. Upload the research paper. So let's take this one to get a comprehensive summary. So here is our file uploader. So we're uploading this type of file. So this st.file uploader will help us upload the file. Then when we get the file, we want to set up this spinner that is going to be processing the PDF or processing the file. Then this is going to extract the text. Remember the function we talked about from the beginning. So this function is going to extract the text from the PDF. Now, if there is text, we are going to show that the PDF was successfully processed. That means we now have text. Else, we come down here. So else we're just going to do nothing on that text. So it's going to probably give us some error. Then here we are going to be spinning that we are generating the summary using Claude. And then we are going to be using the generate summary. So we are passing in this text, which is going to generate the summary. So this is our prompt. You see our prompt. So our prompt uses that text to generate that summary. Then when we have the summary, you see we want to write on the head summary, and then we want to kind of like display the button. So display the whole summary. So this st.write. So this one is going to give a header to the text as summary, and then this is going to print the summary content. And then at the end of the day, we can also download the content of that summary. You see the data is summary as a TXT file. So we can do that download. So if we want to download. So we'll go ahead to test this, I think, and see how it's going to look like. So the way you run a Streamlit application is just to say Streamlit. Then we're going to be running. So the name of this particular one is a.py. So we're going to say a.py. So this is going to. So this is how the application is going to display. So now that we have the application display, so I'm going to be looking for a PDF file. So I already have this research paper here. So I'm going to share it with us soon. Oh, let me see. So this is the research paper I went ahead to download. So the research paper is on, so the title of this paper is called Table GPT-2. So it's a large multi-modal model with tabular data integration. So this is a paper that I looked at because I'm actually interested in this. So now I want to go ahead and provide this PDF for our summarizer to summarize the findings of this PDF. So I'm going to drag the PDF so into this. So I'm just going to drag it. So you see, it's processing the PDF. And next we'll go ahead to say generate summary. So our model is running. And let's wait for the result. So we have our summary. It was pretty quick. So we have our summary here. Here's a comprehensive summary of our research paper on table GPT-2. So you see the main research objective, develop a large multi-modal model table GPT that effectively integrate tabular data with language models. So the methodology that was used, the training process, the key component, the key findings. Based on my understanding, this looks very accurate. So you could probably just catch a glimpse of what the paper is actually doing by just looking at the summary. So this is it. So how would it have worked if I had used, let's say, another? So what actually happened is that I actually tried it, although I can't really. So I tried to do the same thing using uh, my local LLMs. So when I tried to do that, so if I come here to the summary here, you see here that I got some error somewhere here. Okay, let me show you. So here, I think it's looking, it's trying to keep the first 533 tokens within the context overflow. So there were actually an issue with context. So the model couldn't take the entire paper as input. But that wasn't the case with Anthropic. That wasn't the case. So you see, because of that, I had to submit the whole paper in 9 different parts. So the summary wasn't really that nice. I won't say it's completely bad, but you can't compare the summary I got using this Llama 3.23 billion parameter model with the one I got with the Anthropic API. So this one was well formatted, nice, because the whole paper was submitted at once. And this is kind of like a good use case of how you could use it to summarize a text as shown in even the use cases. So I think this is the end. So this shows you how you could build like with the Anthropic API and Streamlit. Definitely, you could build like little applications that could solve your problem internally within your company or even for yourself locally, as you've seen me build a research paper summarizer, which I actually intend using. So thank you. Please subscribe to my channel and support me to keep bringing you interesting and amazing content such as this.